We're at day 11 of our 31-day Halloween Story Spookathon. If you happen to just be joining us, a special welcome. We have 10 other stories on our 2023 Halloween Storyathon playlist. Make sure to check that out. Today's story was written by Empress, and they have kindly given me the privilege of narrating their story. My boyfriend and I are eerily similar, and now I know why. Did anyone ever mention the phrase, misery loves company to you in conversation? Well, that was the truth between my boyfriend and I. My boyfriend Connor and I met at our local park about 5 years ago. We both had been going through dark times in our lives and had conveniently sat on the benches adjacent to each other near the giant oak tree in the middle of the park. I remember the sad look in his eyes as I approached him, his beautiful emerald eyes meeting my own. I remember his silky brown hair matching the same color and texture as mine. Even our highlights matched in color. I sat next to him and started a bit of small talk, mostly about the local politics. Our soft conversation quickly became heated and full of laughter. Turns out we shared a lot in common. I was an avid kayaker and traveled to different spots around the country, and turns out so was he. I had a beautiful silver GMC Hummer to drag my kayak trailer around. He ended up walking me back to my car in the nearby parking lot, and I noticed he had the same style car as mine. I didn't see any problems when we found his car parked next to mine. In fact, I was overjoyed. Over the next 5 years, we grew closer and closer, sharing exact interests. We moved into a small townhouse together about 2 years in, went shopping and decorated it to look like a fishing cabin, and adopted 2 beautiful German shepherds. We were overjoyed to see our little home coming together. Connor brought up the idea of marriage at our 5-year anniversary. I wasn't thrilled about the idea, seeing as wedding planning would affect the progress of getting my PhD in marine biology. He seemed happy with my response, as he was studying for his master's in psychology and wanted to take his time. I don't see why, but his response caught my attention. Something felt eerie about it, but nothing I could pinpoint. Over the next few days, I noticed more and more about Connor that perplexed me. His body shape matched mine, minus the womanly features, of course. His waistline was thin, small muscle lines extending from his navel to his upper chest. His pelvic bone slightly pointed out from his skin. His arms lacked muscle and his hands were bony. I looked the same, mostly due to an eating disorder I was working my way out of. His feet were abnormally big for a normal human size, and his nails grew long and oddly sharp, quicker than I've ever seen, which, apart from his slightly taller stature, was the only difference we had. His hair, cheeks, eyes, and nose matched my own. I chalked this up to genetics being genetics in the past, but now I had a second look. Everything seemed off. I brought this up to my sister over the phone and requested that she talk to my mother. My mother and father are both scientists for a place called Vermilion Laboratories, and have been there since they were fresh out of university. I could sense a sudden hesitance in her voice at my request. Celia, you should go see Mom in person, she said, a small quake in her voice. Why? She cut me off. Just do it. It's for your own good. I sighed. All right. I grabbed my keys and trudged towards the front door. Hey, honey, I heard from the living room. Connor peeked his head out from the side wall. Where are you going? My sister told me to go see my mom about something. Why? I lifted my keys to set them into the lock, only for Connor to grab me by the wrist. I turned back, a wild look in his eyes greeting mine. Don't go. He jolted, trying to snatch the keys from me. I wrestled my arm back from him. His nails dug into my skin, tearing away flesh as he stumbled back. I quivered in shock. 3 Long open wounds had been torn into my arm, pouring blood into the cracks of the wood floor. Connor backed off in shock, his wild look shifting into panic. Without a second thought, I slammed my keys into the lock. I blacked out. The last thing I saw was Connor lunging at me and the door flying open as I made my escape. My consciousness came back in my car at Vermilion Labs. I looked at my arm. The wounds were long and deep. I took out my pocket knife and cut my shirt to use as a dressing for my wounds, then quickly made my way inside, only to turn back and see Connor leaping out of his car at the end of the lot. I ran as fast as I could. Connor was right on my tail. "Celia!" His roar made my hair stand on edge. What the hell did I fall in love with? Who the hell is this man? Endless questions filled my mind as I ran down the seemingly endless halls. I made my way to the basement of the lab, hopping over the ledge that kept visitors from entering. I hit the first stair, only to feel my ankle give away. I braced myself, each stair impact leaving bruises on my body. Connor's voice was far away enough to lend me a bit of relief. The basement was pitch black. Small, flashing red buttons from the sidewalls pierced the darkness. I felt around, sliding my hands along the walls, coming to a switch at the edge of the room. I turned, only to see a red button turn its trajectory towards me. I felt a shiver go down my spine. The red flashing lights were not buttons. They were eyes. I flicked on the lights to see Connor. Not just one, but tons, all adorned in white jumpsuits, different numbers on each one. I froze in place. A pair of hands grabbed my shoulders, a light breath against my ear. "I was made for you, Celia. Don't you see?" Update. It's been a month since that post. The Connors made a unified decision that I would never leave this place. I wish I could run away, but sadly, I can't. They just finished eating my legs a few days ago. I was able to drag myself to a computer to tell you all this. I learned my lesson the hard way. So please, all of you, if you meet a person who looks exactly like you and shares all your interests, meet them. They were made for you. Well, I hope you enjoyed this creepy little flash fiction story with a twist at the end. If you did, give it a thumbs up and check out Arcade Empress on Reddit for more stories. All right, Rosebuds, that's a wrap. Until next time tomorrow night, take care and stay creepy.